All right, I'm starting on the horn, which is a post-game video. Ryan, say what's up.
Hey,
Quick 2 cents on the game.
aggressive and fun. Aggressive. There was a lot of aggression.
There was, especially there at the end.
Just a little bit. See you guys.
Later, Ryan. Hey, friends. I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. Chaifetz Arena is awesome. This place is really cool. It's a good pal, Ben Rikosh here. We just said bye to Ryan Hammer, who's like one of the best college basketball creators in the country. We were sitting right next to him, right here, in front of the SLU student section. So that was loud. I enjoyed it. They had a Robbie Avila fathead and everything. Matt Norlander was here too. So it was a wonderful environment here. There's a lot to unpack, as you guys will know after watching that game on TV. St. Louis won 88-75. And I guess we got to start at the end with the fight, because that's what everyone's questions will be about. For the second year in a row, we've had some fisticuffs at Chaifetz Arena between VCU and St. Louis. Last year it was in the stands. This time it was on the court. And I did not know what happened immediately, because the ball was, SLU was dribbling it out. And I was doing my, around the court shot that was going to be final. Matt, say what's up, man.
Hey, what's going on? Let me see that stat sheet.
Oh, are you going to steal it from me? Okay.
Yeah, I'll steal it. I'm sorry. Click this to your
All right, I'll try and get through the rest of that fight there at the end. So SLU's dribbling it out. Nick Lewis tries to steal the ball. And over here on this sideline by midcourt. And Robbie Avila takes exception to that. He shoves Nick Lewis, who goes flying into the stands. I don't think it was a very hard shove from Avila, but Lewis was kind of trying to put the ball up at that second, and he got into like the second row. And then Barry Evans comes up and shoves Kellen Thames, which didn't really make sense because Kellen Thames was not the one that shoved Nick Lewis in the first place. But it's a hard shove in the back from Barry Evans, and Kellen Thames goes flying into the stands. And then Quentin Jones comes up behind Evans and he shoves him. And then the bench is clear and everyone starts rushing toward midcourt. And like Josh Schertz said in the post-game presser, I mean, he said he didn't feel like there was anything worthy of a suspension from that. There was a whole lot of hold me back, bro, from both teams after they rushed toward the scrum at the middle of the court. Barry Evans and Quentin Jones were both ejected with flagrant twos. I'm sure the A10 is going to look at that. I looked it up. A flagrant 2 is not an automatic suspension. I don't think there's anything worthy of a suspension in there after seeing it again. I think things got emotionally charged at the end of the game, and should Nick probably let St. Louis dribble it out? Yeah, but does he have every right to go for a steal in that moment too when it's still a live ball? Yes, he does. And Avila shoved him pretty hard. And I think Barry Evans felt like he was trying to protect Nick Lewis, and Quentin Jones felt like he was trying to protect Kellen Thames, and everyone was trying to stand up to their teammates. Multiple guys from both teams also got ejected because apparently it's an automatic ejection when you leave the bench in a scenario like that. And so I'm not sure how there were 5 guys apiece on the floor to finish this game in the last 1.1 seconds, but there were. And so that was a wild ending to this game. St. Louis won 88-75 after VCU came out absolutely on fire. And I'm going to put the phone down for a second and pull up my play-by-play here, guys. Because VCU started phenomenal and then fell apart midway through the second half. And a St. Louis team that has been able to put together knockout blow runs at key moments throughout the season was able to do that again. Lazar Djokovic was great. He had a game high 19 points, 6 of 13 from the field, 7 rebounds. Brandon Jennings, 18 points, 7 rebounds. Those are your 2 stars for VCU. St. Louis has played the best defense on Terrence Hill of anyone that I've seen all season. He ended up with 6 points, 1 of 11 from the field, 4 of 5 at the three-point line, missed all 7 of his 3-point attempts. They did not give him any space to get going on the perimeter. Also limited Adrian Tracy really well. But let's go to the beginning of this game, because it started as well as VCU could have asked for, right? Nick Lewis, deep 3 on the left wing, first possession on a Tracy assist, 3-0, and then a Tracy catch and shoot 3 in the right corner off an Evans assist for 6-0. And then an Evans 3 on the right wing off a Tracy assist for 9-0, and then a Djokovic layup, and it's 11-0 VCU at the 17:08 mark. And that's their best start to a game all season. And then St. Louis was able to kind of methodically chip away. Where was VCU's largest lead? I believe it was 24-10 after a Nick Lewis steal and an easy bucket in transition on the other end with 9:55 to play in the first half. It's 24-10 VCU, and that ends up being their largest lead. But they made 8 threes in the first half. I believe it was 8 of 15 from outside. Lazar Djokovic hit a huge catch-and-shoot tray on the right wing for 40-31 with 1:16 to play in the first half. After a 7-0 Billikens run, and they were really able to cut into it. And then it ends up being 42-33 at halftime, and a 9-point lead for VCU. And it feels like you're in the driver's seat and in a good position. And then midway through the second half is when this game really turned. Lazar Djokovic up fake in the left corner, drove, finished off glass through 2 guys, 51-43. He had 17 to lead all scorers at that point. That was with 14:54 to play, and it still felt like VCU was in control there. And then let me look for the point at which this game turned. Yeah, I think it kind of starts with the Ishan Sharma 3 on the left wing with 13:02 to play. That made it 55-49. And then Barry Evans got clobbered on an offensive rebound. That was the 17th foul on Slew. That made it 57-49. VCU was in the bonus. You got a stat sheet? Oh, there it is. Thank you so much. And VCU was in the bonus at that point. That was the 17th foul on Slew. That was with 12:29 to play, and VCU was up 8, which is wild to look back on given how this game turned. And then a Kellen Thames turnaround jumper in the lane, 57-51, and that started, let me find it right here, a 17-2 St. Louis run over the next 3:51, and that's what they've been able to do all year, is just put together those kill shot runs when they need them the most. Sharma catch and shoot 3 on the left wing for 64-59 St. Louis lead. Where was VCU's last lead? VCU's last lead was 59-57 with 10:06 to play after a Brandon Jennings baseline drive, and he muscled one up. I wrote VCU needed that on my notes because they really did. St. Louis had all the momentum. VCU calls a timeout after that 17-2 Slew run over 3:51. At that point, it's 66-59 Billikens after a tame steal and finish off glass. That's with 8:17 to play, and it did not stop the bleeding at all. Robbie Avila catch and shoot 3 at the top of the key for 69-59 at 7:50. That's now a 20-2 run, and Slew is up 10. And the game was really over at that point. I mean, a Terrence Hill drive and a pretty cut from Jadrian Tracy. He split the lane, received from Terrence on the run, finished off glass for 70-63. And that was really the last point at which you felt like VCU had a chance in this game. Because then a huge bucket from Avila on a drive from the top of the key. It was an and one, fouled by Barry Evans, finished the floater, hit the free throw for the 3-point play for 73-63 at the 6:06 mark. And at that point, Slew was racing away with it. Who were some other big shots in that sequence? And I wrote absolute dagger here. It was an Avila second chance, catch and shoot 3 on the left wing. That was for 79-66 with 4:33 to play. And then a Sharma catch and shoot 3 in the left corner. That made it 82-66, came off a Quentin Jones assist with 3:34 to play, and this game was over. And Slew was running the clock down in those last few minutes. It ended up winning 88-75. Gentlemen, what's up? This is on the horn. Say hey. We're doing the post-game video. What are your 2 cents here on how that game turned in the second half?
That game really turned in the second half. that was looking like an extension of the Rhode Island game from Tuesday, and then all of a sudden it was like 33-9 or something. It was, and it goes from being can they pull this one out to a romp. And that's how Sloop plays games. That's how they've won games this year.
Right?
They are a high spurt factor team, and they're one of the leaders in kill shots on 10-0 plus runs this season, and that's what they did. And certainly when VCU makes 1 of 14 threes in the second half, that will swing a lot of games. They were much better. Slew shot better on threes in the second half, and VCU didn't, and that was a big difference.
The ambassador of spurtability in that particular case would have been Kellen Thames.
He was huge in both matchups.
Yes. Well, I mean, in the turnaround, specifically today, I mean, I don't have the box in front of me, but I think he ended up with 16 points.
16 to lead St. Louis.
16 minutes or like something close to that. 5 steals, which all, off the top of my head, all led to points. Much.
It led to open court opportunities. It felt like all of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, some for him, some for other people. So, I mean, that was the key point in the game, was him taking over stretches, either with rebounding, offense, or, just creating, getting downhill and just sort of attacking. So, I think he led the spurt. And then also just their ability to limit Djokovic in the second half, because I want to say it was 12-6 at halftime.
Yeah,
which means
ended up with 19-7.
7-1. in the second half.
And he had
of-
17 with like 12 minutes to play, so pretty much all of those points came early in the second half. He did nothing down the stretch.
Yeah, so to me, those were the big differences, was Kellen Thames helping spark that run, and then them limiting Djokovic in the second half. And yeah, I mean, Djokovic, but also just in general, the defense picked up a lot better in the second half between rebounding and then, I mean, I think at one point, half of their points in the second half were free throw line, which means they just weren't really scoring in the half court and transition. Like, it was just all free throw line. Because at one point, they had 24 points in the second half, and 12 of them were free throw line.
And just the 1-3-2 was obviously huge. And it was fascinating to me how Schertz said, and Phil Martelli said this too, they both felt like VCU actually got better looks in the second half than they did in the first half. They just weren't knocking them down. And I think Schertz also said that, like, Michael Bell hit one of those big threes, Barry Evans hit one of those threes. Like, it wasn't the guys that they were concerned with beating them from outside who just happened to hit shots in the first half. And what's his buzz term that he likes to use? Scoring variance or shooting variance? Yeah. VCU, kind of came back to earth a little bit. Regression to the mean and all that in that second half in terms of their shooting. What did you guys see with 1.1 seconds on the clock and what transpired there? There was some pushing and shoving. I don't think there's anything worthy of a suspension for either team there.
That seems to be consensus. And I mean, so from over at the scorers table here, like, Schertz and Martelli were literally shaking hands.
Yeah.
And so that was right in front of us. And all of a sudden it was sort of like from vantage point being right in front of us to all of a sudden, what's going on back here? And then you realize that all heck was breaking loose. So,
I was looking at the students celebrating behind me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everyone was running toward midcourt.
Yeah, Avila fouls the guy that steals the ball, and then Evans comes in and pushes down Deion Brown, and then Quentin Jones comes in and pushes down Evans, and that's why they both got the flagrant twos. And then the bench is clear, and when the bench is clear, you get ejected from the game.
And there was a whole lot of hold me back, bro.
There was. Yes. Oh yeah. They were like drunks at a bar. Oh, it's a good thing. It's a good thing they're holding me back, or I'd be tearing you limb from limb. Oh, let me at him. Yeah. So there was a lot of that going on.
But the officials definitely, because their video monitor is right next to us, so they came over and they had to check, obviously, for the fouls, who left the benches, but then also I know that they did look to see if there's any punches thrown. So if any of that had been visible, then that would have been actionable. But it doesn't sound like anybody saw any of that. They did at least review it on the court, so it seems like suspensions won't be necessary, but you never know.
This place is awesome. I enjoyed being in front of the students a great deal. They were chanting and chatting with the VCU bench throughout and everything, and I had the Robbie Avila fathead right behind me. So guys, this is On the Horn. I'm Zach Joachim. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate y'all coming on. I guess tell everyone your names.
I'm Tom Timmerman. I cover St. Louis U for the Post-Dispatch in St. Louis.
Lynn Worthy, columnist for the Post-Dispatch.
I wanted to do some networking. The Post-Dispatch also owned by Lee Enterprises, so we're different branches of the same corporate ownership here, and so it was awesome to. Matt Norlander was sitting right here too, and you had a bunch of stars in the house for what was a phenomenal atmosphere and an awesome game. St. Louis 88, VCU 75. Rams 10-game win streak is done. They're off next week. They play against Fordham at home on Saturday. I'll see you guys for that one. This is On the Horn. I'm Zach Joachim. Thank you for joining me.